Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of Rebel Reviews, where we review hardware without the jargon. Today we have a motherboard from ASRock, and there's the Fatal1ty ASRock Z97X Killer 3.1. Now right off the bat you'll notice the Fatal1ty name and branding on this motherboard, and that means that it's geared straight towards gamers. So what would a gamer need over and above what a normal motherboard will offer you? Well, how about a USB port for your mouse that you can set the polling to? That's right, you can manually set the polling between 125 MHz and 1000 MHz for your mouse, just so you can get an Uber Micro going just that much quicker. Of course, the Fatal1ty name, apart from being able to set the polling right from the mouse, there's also a whole bunch of other things that Fatal1ty gives to the motherboard. Now, let's see here, there's a thing called gaming armor, which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 individual pieces. What's quite nice and I actually quite like is that there's a separate PCIe power connector for the graphics card with the motherboard, instead of having the power directly through your power supply. Aluminium heat sinks, which ASRock calls the extra large aluminium alloy heatsink. The Purity Sound 2, which gives you 7.1 channel HD audio, and then the Killer E2200 network card. Now, many years ago, Killer used to sell network cards separately, and they were known as these for gamers low latency network cards. They're now owned by Qualcomm, and this is basically an ASRock Killer chipset. It's meant to give you quicker throughput on the network card itself. Right, let's open up and see what we got. And there you have it. You see big aluminium heat sinks on the MOSFETs and on the chipset to help keep things cool. 3 PCIe slots, and how they're configured is that the topmost one will run at 16 times. If you have 2 cards in, you'll get 2 at 8, and you have 3 cards in, you'll get an 8, 4 and 4. Intel LGA 1150 slots on top. You see you've got stickers up here telling you what's what. So you've got the Fatal1ty mouse ports, and the Killer neck over here. Turn it over. You can see there. That's quite a lot of USB 3s, the Killer neck over there, display ports, and then the Fatal1ty USB ports. Let's check here, you've got shielding on the Killer E2200 gaming interface, and also shielding over the Purity Sound 2. What this does, who knows, it looks pretty cool though. And I quite like the red and black feel of the board. It's very much the Fatal1ty gaming colors, and it makes the board look nicer. ASRock used to have a brown PC board, which looked crap. So I'm glad they've gone over to a black. However much that costs, it's definitely worth the money. I mean, there are cheap things like this hard drive saver sticker, which I mean, comes off like that. But generally, quite a good motherboard. What else you have in here? Got a faceplate, which is quite nice. Got some manuals, every language. Got the motherboard software, and with this comes a bunch of drivers and also the software to configure the gaming keyboard mouse selection thing, and also a software guide as well. Bunch of cables, nice black SATA cables, always good to know, and there's slide bridge. Now, because this is the Killer 3.1, there's this sticker over here, the notes. This is quite cheap actually, it sucks. Anyway, it means this motherboard actually supports USB 3.1 through the help of this little doohickey here. What this does, it plugs into a PCIe port, and it gives you USB 3.1, which apparently is teal, in both outputs, Type A and Type C. So ASRock recommends you pop this into the first one away. Doesn't need the faster speed you go. Generally, that's the motherboard. Looks quite nice, small form factor. Actually priced quite well if you think what you get for it, especially with the USB 3.1 expansion. Also, didn't mention, it's got new SATA Express, which binds to these 2 ports and allows you to run a 10 gigabit hard drive. If you find one of those anyway. But yeah, lots of future technology at a decent price, and let's see how this motherboard does in some benchmarks.
It was relatively easy to use this motherboard for this build. The components we used were an Intel i7-4790K, a Gannett 120GB SSD hard drive, an Antec Edge 650 PSU, and a kit of 16GB G-Skill Sniper DDR3 1866. And that was all built into a very large Corsair Graphite 760K. The first benchmark was done with everything standard, default BIOS, no overclocking, and that got us a score of 4916 on performance test. After that, we overclocked the thing, put the CPU up to 4.5 GHz, and that got us a score of 5113 also on performance test. Finally, we also overclocked the GTX 960, and that gave us a slight bump, also on performance test of 5186. All in all, this board was a pleasure to work with. The build was easy, installed quite easily, software works great, and generally I think it also looks quite good. Anyway, that's it for this test, and we'll see you guys soon.